Meeting to order. First item on our agenda is public comment. Do we have any? I will close item 2, public comment. Item 3, action item 3A, approve the February 12th, 2025 minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion on the minutes? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Then we have 3B, vacancy on committees. And Brad, you can handle that for us, please.
Yes, good morning. The city of Largo has informed PSTA that Commissioner Chris Johnson will be, well, he wasn't here this morning, so maybe he's already left, I'm not sure. He is leaving PSTA because of a work conflict, that he can't attend the PSTA meetings, the board meetings specifically. So he notified the mayor and they voted, I think last night, on appointing a new person, a new commissioner, Commissioner Jeruzzi, who is new to the Largo Commission, got elected last fall. But Alan Zimmett, who is the legal counsel of Largo, said he was seemed like a good guy. So we'll meet him. So as I mentioned, instead of scheduling a separate nominating committee, Robert Walker from Dunedin has expressed interest to the nominating committee last fall that he really would like to be on the legislative committee. And since Chris Johnson is no longer on the legislative committee, it's recommended that Mr. Walker from Dunedin be appointed to the legislative committee to take Chris Johnson's vacant spot on that. And then, well, I think this is a good idea. Rachel had an idea to, I think we have to talk to him, see if he's open to it. But we need an alternate. Also, Chris Johnson was also an alternate to the nominating committee. And so we thought we could recommend that Commissioner Jeruzzi, I think that's how you pronounce his name, maybe could be an alternate to the nominating committee. That seems pretty low intensity to be an alternate to a committee that meets once a year. It's a start. I think he should be able to do it, hopefully.
Okay.
So those would be the two recommendations
Yep.
to.
Can you re-say that? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I do have a question. Although the nominating committee only meets once a year, it's still based on the experiences of those that we've dealt with during PSTA, because we're actually recommending people to fill positions.
Correct, yeah.
So I know that we only meet once a year, but I do think the purpose of the committee is still
Oh, yeah.
pretty important, so that's just
It's
my
very,
two
it actually probably meets more than once a year, probably meets on average of 2 times a year, I would say, to fill vacancies, and then also every year it definitely meets to recommend the officers for the next year.
So when is he coming? When is he starting?
Well, if the Largo Commission, do you know if they did vote last night?
I haven't received any notice, but it's on my calendar to check with them. I
Okay.
think it was supposed to be last night.
Assuming that they appointed a new person last night, then they'll come to the meeting in March.
So he'll have enough experience with this then, so that's
Yeah.
fine. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
That's
agree.
fine.
Yes.
So the two recommendations are to appoint Dunedin Commissioner Robert Walker to the Legislative Committee vacancy, and to the new Largo representative as an alternate to the nominating committee.
Okay, Patty?
I have a question. So this happened. So my understanding from being on the board for a while now is that you move up the chairs to become the chair. So you become the secretary, you become the vice, and then you become a chair. I spoke to you about this. And we had this discussion pretty openly when Renee Flowers left. And we talked about the fact that you move up the chair and then the chair stays for two terms. So I was secretary. Remember? Was I,
Oh, no.
or I was we had gone up because you had been nominated and Howard was. So when we have these meetings for officers, it's just a free-for-all. It's whoever shows up or whoever. If you're in a chair and if you don't say that you wanna be that person again, somebody can take your spot then, is that correct? There's no move up, so if Dan's not here, then somebody brand new can put their name in for the chair.
It is not in our bylaws to be automatic. It is, I would say, customary. It is customary that there is sort of a
Move up.
the
So they learn
nominating
each
committees
spot,
and then the
was
board
my
has approved a sort of succession process. That is customary, but it's specifically not in our bylaws, and then actually it's a requirement that the chair has to at the meeting ask for other nominations if there's any.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That there was, as I described, the executive committee
Mm-hmm.
is specifically the chair, vice chair, secretary treasurer, past chair, and one other commissioner. Except the last 2 years, we have not had a past chair on the PSTA board, so we had 2 other commissioners serve. So it was just a little bit different the last couple of years than it has been, but that's officially what it
Okay,
is, yeah.
just so we know.
Alright, go ahead, Tom, yes.
I just need a little clarification, Brad. You've stated this a couple different ways. Recommend approval of appointing Robert Walker to legislative, and you didn't say as alternate. And then you said the new Largo representative as alternate. So I'd like to know which one is
Yeah,
it the
there's
written
no
version?
alternate on nominating, it's just
So
5
you said
members.
the written version is what we're actually doing.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, alternate on legislative.
Okay,
I'm
Thank you for
sorry, I
clarifying.
missed it, yeah. Okay.
Alright, anything else, other comments, then I'll entertain a motion to recommend approval of appointing Robert Walker to the legislative as an alternate and the new Largo representative to nominating, correct?
Alright,
And
yes.
I just want you guys to know, I think the world of Robert Walker. When he was first elected in Dunedin, I met him. I think he'd be a great candidate. He would be wonderful for us.
I think he's got a legislative background in his work, not as an elected official, but significant dealings with legislators.
Yes, he
That's
does.
helpful, thank you.
Yeah.
That is helpful, okay.
Alright, I'll move approval.
Also-
Second.
Alright, any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Anything else on that, Brad? We're good?
His name is Mike DeBrizzi, sorry, not Jurizzi, it's DeBrizzi.
And you're gonna reach out to him? Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, next on the agenda, we have information items. And Brad is gonna talk about our budget workshop.
Yes, thank you. So we had, I think, a pretty successful budget process last year. That we had started off with workshops of the PSTA board, and so we're proposing to do that again. To have 2 workshops this spring. The first one is hopefully on your calendars for Friday, April 11th.
Look. Let me look right
I
now.
believe I did that.
That was thanks to Rachel's doodle poll, the
Yep, I got
most
it.
number of people.
Rachel, you're
Maybe not
amazing.
everybody. And then she's honing in on a second workshop date for the first week of June. Hopefully. It's a little bit late, but this year, I think generally the 2 workshops will be somewhat similar to where they were last year, where workshop number 1, we will be engaging the PSTA board in identifying issues and things that they would like to see in the budget development for fiscal year 2026 for PSTA. We've got a similar exercise of Post-it notes around the room planned for April 11th. And so you trying to get as much input from the PSA board at workshop number 1, and then we help develop workshop number 2, and then the budget from that. So, but the other thing that I would like to do this year, if possible, is to update PSTA's a strategic planning document. We have an adopted strategic plan that's now 5 years old. It's kind of dated, it needs to be updated. And my thought is rather than having a separate whole workshop on that or hiring a consultant is we could probably just kind of use these budget workshops to kind of gauge high level goals and objectives or priorities of the board and then flesh out a strategic plan over the summer. Maybe either with maybe the planning committee kind of works on it some and then by October 1, the start of the fiscal year, we'd adopt a new strategic plan for PSTA at the same time.
Could you get us copies of the previously executed strategic plan that we're looking to
Yes.
modify? That would be helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
that's great.
Because we'll probably talk about how maybe things obviously need to change from at that workshop on April 11th. We'll probably talk about it. That's a good idea. Make sure
I think
you.
it's a good idea because then you've got not only the finance part of what we're doing for the budget, but you've got the strategic plan. And sometimes there's gonna be things that cross-pollinate each other, so I think it's a good
Yeah.
idea to do it together.
Well, and like a strategic plan is different than say our community bus plan in that it lays out priorities of the board and then it has a whole bunch of projects or initiatives that we wanna implement to achieve those goals. And so we're pretty much done most of them from the last one. So we need to come up with a whole set of new things to do. So I just wanna kind of give the executive committee a little update on, that's the process we'll be taking over the next couple of months as we put the budget together. Then the budget process will follow the same as it has, where we'll have a June presentation of the fiscal year 26 budget at committees and at the meeting. July will be the trim notice meeting, and then we'll have our budget hearings in September.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Brad?
On that.
Well, thank you for that, Brad. Next, you have the draft March board agenda.
Yes, thank you. The legislative committee approved one of our planned consent items for the meeting, which is a 3-month extension of the Harry Glenn Van Scoyoc contract while we issue the RFP and get a longer term contract in place. I think this has been updated a little bit. We regarding the Cross Bay Ferry and the discussion we had at our last meeting, there's a meeting going on this morning with Hillsborough County, which is not taking any action, but they are getting an update on the Cross Bay Ferry, and I think it'll be telling how Hillsborough and then ultimately Hart will decide on whether or not to transfer the grant for the ferry boat to PSDA. So we'll have to see
And that's
what
this
that.
morning?
There's a Hillsborough County Commission meeting going on right now. Darden Enrice is there. She's giving me live stream texting of what's going on.
Oh, good.
But I don't think it actually has come up yet. The Finance Committee will look at some bids that we're conducting, that Al and team are bidding out right now, which is projects from our capital program, the computers and the printers we're bidding out. And that'll come to the Finance Committee. We are required with the Clearwater Transit Center as part of City of Clearwater Code to have an artist, an art element to the Clearwater Transit Center. And so the city actually, we use the city's art commission, I think they're called, to do a procurement of an artist. And so that'll be on the agenda for approval, a contract with that artist that's within the Clearwater Transit Center project. And then the big item on the agenda this month will be hopeful consideration and approval of our community bus plan, our connected community bus network. We had the public hearing last month. We'll be making a couple tweaks to the plan based on comments at the last meeting, and then that'll be on the agenda this month. And then the finance committee will receive, and then hopefully a shorter version at the board meeting from our auditors that for 2024. We'll get that scintillating report. Hopefully that's really positive and no findings.
Scintillating.
Scintillating.
I'm gonna wait for that. Scintillating.
Is it okay, Deb? Are we safe?
We allowed to say scintillating
I
next
don't know if
time?
it's scintillating, but I'll know by the end of the week.
Al is going to be giving a training session at the finance committee for the finance committee members to be good evaluation committee members for the procurement for our new auditor. So look forward to that.
So back to 6A, the Connected Community Bus Network, when we had the meeting, the board meeting, I thought it went well. I thought the people that came out to speak, I thought they all made sense. They, I mean, I thought it was a really, it wasn't a massive, like last time we had that, like last year, there was only a few people that came out. But I thought everything they had to say made sense, but the main thing that I really enjoyed was when the people sat down, the PSTA staff immediately went over to them to to talk to them and said, hey, we're here to help, we wanna listen to you. I thought that was amazing. I caught that out of my eye while I was running the meeting, but I wanted to say that was really good for
Yeah.
staff.
Yeah,
It really
I'll
was.
second that, that's great.
And Deb, are you doing the audit, are you guys doing that? We have, where we had that togetherness, so you had a special group of people or not, or what am I trying to say here? I don't think we're still using the same audit company.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not,
And they'll be there, right?
Oh, for the presentation of the audit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, so the same, yeah, I love those guys, those are great.
Just as a little aside, as the evaluators go through it, you know, I'm always open to new auditors. Through the years, there's been a few times I've had the same auditor. By law, they have to change partners and staff, so it becomes
yeah.
almost like a new audit.
What was that, 4 years ago we did that, 3 years ago?
5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Was it 5 already?
Yeah,
Oh my god. Yeah,
I think we'll have some good choices.
I remember that, it was pretty close when we voted those guys in. But they've done a great job. All right, any other comments for anybody? Anything else, Brad?
Should be good. Should be good.
All right, then any other business from anybody else they'd like to share? Last thing is my election is 6 days away and praying for victory, guys,
You got this.
praying for victory. All right, our next meeting will be April 2nd, 2025 at 10 a.m. The meeting's adjourned, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, great meeting.
I love this committee.